Alright, Algebra 1 students, here we are. In this video we're going to calculate slope from 2 points. When it comes to lines, we have a numeric way to describe the steepness of them. It's called the slope. When the line goes up from left to right, the slope is positive. When the line goes down from left to right, the slope is negative. It's helpful to remember that we often think about slope by saying it's the rise over the run, represented by the fraction rise divided by run. When we have a graph to investigate, we can draw a slope triangle between any 2 points on the line. Let's look at example 3. Alright, so we're going to find the slope, which, remember, we just said it's equal to the rise divided by the run. So what we need to do is we need to identify the rise and identify the run. We look at 2 points usually from left to right on a graph. So as we move from the left point to the right point, we see that we go up 2 and we go to the right 3. That means that our rise is 2, positive 2, and our run is 3, or positive 3. However, if we're just given 2 points without a graph and asked to find the slope, or the equation that represents the line, we can use the general formula for slope. Slope equals y2 minus y1 is equal over x2 minus x1. And that is equal to, remember, the rise over the run. It's the difference between the y values of the 2 points divided by the difference between the x values of the 2 points. In this situation, x1 and x2, y1 and y2 refer to the general coordinate points. x1, y1, we could call point 1, and x2, y2, we could call that point 2. To understand how the general formula works, it'll be helpful to look back at example 3 and calculate the slope from the 2 points. We're going to do this in example 4. So our point x1, y1, that'll be our first point, negative 3, negative 1, and the point 0, 1 will be the second point, x2, y2. And I'm going to highlight these in different colors so we can keep track of where the values are coming from. So, remember, our equation is slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So here, y2 is 1, subtract y1 is negative 1. And we're going to divide that by x2, which is 0, subtract x1, which is negative 3. Now, it's important to keep track of these positives and negatives, and remember that 1 minus negative 1 means 1 plus 1, and 0 minus negative 3 is 0 plus 3. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 0 plus 3 is 3. So again, our slope is 2/3, just as we saw in the graph before, 2/3. Matches up. That's important. If it didn't, we would have known that we made a problem somewhere. Now, in this next example, it's the same problem, but we're going to just switch the x1 and the y1. We're going to switch the points. So now 0, 1 is our first point, and negative 3, negative 1 will be our second point, x2 and y2. So I'm just showing that it doesn't matter which order these come in. So y2 is negative 1, subtract y1 is 1. And we're going to divide that by x2, which is negative 3, subtract x1, which is 0. Now when we do this, we get negative 2 divided by negative 3, and you might say, oh no, that's not 2/3, but yes it is, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and we see that the slope is 2/3, just as it was before. Let's take a look at one last example, number 6 here, example 6. So here is the general formula for slope, and in this situation we are going to make the 4, -2 our x2, y2, and the -6, 18 our x1, y1. It doesn't matter which is which. So as we fill these values in, what we're going to have is a -2 subtract 18. And that's going to be divided by x2, that's 4, subtract x1, -6. So we're subtracting a negative from negative. On top, -2 minus 18, that's -20 in the numerator. And on the bottom, 4 minus 6 is 4 plus 6. 4 minus a -6 is 4 plus 6, or 10 in the denominator. -20 divided by 10 is -2. And that does it for this video, where we've shown how to calculate slope from any 2 points.